Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. We have all kinds of arts and entertainment in and around the valley. One of the best series is the Vail Dance Festival. Features a lot of different things, a lot of different artists, but I've got Damien with me today to talk a little bit about what to expect for the 2024 season. Damien, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Well, I was looking through the lineup on everything that's going on and kind of all the swerves on how the dance through history and everything you're doing. Tell me a little bit about the artists and what we should expect this year.
Well, that's interesting. You should bring that up to start with. First of all, just kind of thinking about summer is bringing me a lot of hope. It's very cold here this morning in New York, and I'm sure it is there too. But think about those warm nights outside and, all the artists and the musicians and the kind of feeling of community that the festival brings fills me with hope. I'm really looking forward to it. And you mentioned this idea of swerve. So one of the big performances we're going to do is an up close, which means kind of its performance, its rehearsal, it's really getting into it and seeing the artists kind of at work around that concept of swerve. Now, what swerve means in this context is how the art changes. When did ballet become ballet? When did modern dance become modern dance? How did that morph into other things? How does street dance fit in? What happened with tap dance? How did that happen? And we've got the greatest dancers in each form in one place at one time. So we're going to put it all together in this amazing up close that's going to chart basically the history of dance through performance. So you see it happen. So I'm super excited about that. And it's kind of a statement about what we do, which is assemble these amazing artists in dance and in music who represent the best in the world and then put them in one place and make a season, make a menu, essentially. So we'll start out this season with great companies, the Lamone Dance Company, Dance Theater Harlem's going to be back. We're going to have Colorado Ballet in the house because it's super important, I think, to support the local. So we have a whole performance actually called Colorado Dances with Colorado Ballet and Cleo Parker Robinson Dance and Dance Aspen, the newest company in the state coming out of Aspen. We've got all these artists. We've got Michelle Dorrance, just to name one, doing a show over at the Villar Center, really encapsulating what tap dancing is today and how we got here. And it's all through performance. So it's like, getting to see the real thing, basically.
Yeah, you mentioned the Dance of Harlem. They started back in 1969. And what's really nice to see is how that has evolved over time, but the integrity of the expression of the dance has stayed true to its form.
That's correct. I mean, Dance Theater Harlem is just a rocket ship in so many ways. And it was born, as you said, in 1969, created by the extraordinary New York City ballet dancer, kind of one of my predecessors, Arthur Mitchell, who passed away sadly not that long ago. But Arthur's dream coming out of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King was to create a company that brought in all voices, that amplified very specifically dancers in the classical tradition who were not represented on the stage. And he created Dance Theater Harlem, and it has grown into a total juggernaut of both classicism and contemporary ballet. So you'll see that on their main show on that first weekend in Vail. You'll have the classicism of George Balanchine and Allegro Brillante, Chet Tchaikovsky, and then you'll have Billy Forsythe, one of the
Yeah.
greatest living contemporary dance makers, doing work to James Blake, where Blake works for, created for Dance Theater Harlem.
Yeah. Now, another thing that is great with the festival is you've got an artist in residence, dancers in residence, a composer in residence. Can you tell the viewers
Yeah.
a little bit about what that means?
Well, it means they work hard. I'll tell you that, because they really kind of span everything. They're a part of so many different types of performances. They're thought leaders. They give conversations on dance. They do lots of different types of things. So you mentioned our artists in residence, and this year we've got the great ballerina, one of the greatest ballerinas in the world, Sarah Mearns, will be dancing artist in residence, and then we've got Jamar Roberts as artist in residence. And Jamar was a fantastic leading dancer at Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater for many years. He was actually in my very first season programming at Vail Dance Festival. He was one of the stars dancing back in 2007. And in the last years, he's become one of the most in-demand choreographers in the world. He's created a few works for Vail, but this year is a little different where we're going to capitalize on his presence to make a major work. We're going to revive some of the things he's made in the past, and we'll rely on Jamar to be kind of a creative engine within the festival. Same thing with our composer in residence, Caroline Shaw. Caroline is the youngest Pulitzer Prize winning composer in history. She is versatile to the sense of from producing in rock music to the most pristine kind of classically Baroque-based music.
Wow.
And she's an engine as well, and she'll be making a new work as well as collaborating on different pieces, bringing that musical sensibility into the mix.
Well, this season definitely will not disappoint as the Vail Valley Foundation brings in the Vail Dance Festival. Always exciting, always a lot of culture that's infused in our community through this festival. So Damien, thank you so much for, I know,
I got
all
one
your
more.
hard work.
I got one more for you,
Okay.
just to whet people's appetite, which is, we are all about, like I said, celebrating the history, figuring out where these things came from. But we finish with the new always. Our closing night is now premieres with 7 world premieres created especially for the festival by some of the most important choreographers of the day in different styles. So always think about that trajectory. What you're going to get at Vail Dance Festival is the full picture from history to up to the second you're standing there in the theater.
Well, tell us a little bit, Damien, since you brought that up. How is that decided? How do you decide on what you're bringing in and how to put all this together?
Yeah, so it's such a challenge to be honest with you. I mean, it's so hard to say what is the most important thing right now, but honestly, it has a lot to do with the artists themselves. I look at each individual artist who we get to bring and we say, what's the next step for them? What are the most important things for them to do? And then you overlay that with what's the most important things happening in dance today. And then you overlay that with where's the history. So the choices are difficult, but they're based in individuals and they're based in the excitement of the moment. I always like to leave enough room that literally if I go somewhere tonight, like I'm going somewhere tonight to see something, and I think, oh my God, this audience has to see it in Vail. I want to leave room for that.
Well, thank you so much. And again, that expression takes on its own form with each individual because as it resonates to each one of us individually, those takeaways are unbelievable. So thank you for all that hard work. Thank you for putting this together. It's going to be a great 2024 season. And thank you to the Vail Valley Foundation for allowing us to have this great event here in our community.
Great to be with you.
We'll be back soon with more Good Morning Vail.